My name is Julie Dobrow. I am the Dean of Admissions and Financial Aid. I am also a proud alum of the School of the Arts. And I want to welcome you so much, everyone who's here in person, everyone who's on Zoom. Thank you guys so much for being with us on this really gorgeous day where we could all be outside, but I'm glad you're here. We are going to have a little panel discussion. We have our faculty here to talk a little bit about the program, and then there will be an opportunity for questions. In the meantime, please feel free to get up and get food and coffee at any point. And I will hand it over to Jack.
Hello, everyone. So good to see you all in person and again watching online. I'm Jack Leshner. I'm the current chair of the Columbia University Film Program. I also teach creative producing in the program. It's been, this is my 5th and final year as chair, and it's been such an honor to work with the folks that you see on this dais and all the amazing professors and staff in this program, and most of all the students, because somehow through the enormous efforts in admissions of the people sitting to my left here, every year we seem to get the most extraordinary students who do the most extraordinary work. And, you know, we like to take credit for it and say, yeah, it's because of what we taught them. But I think also it's just the remarkable caliber of people who keep coming to the program year after year. And there are a couple of reasons for that. I think, you know, when you are looking at different programs that do what we do in the United States, in the world, there are a couple of things that I think separate Columbia out a little bit. One is, as is, I think, you know, well known and acknowledged, we're the story school. Everything we do is built on the frame of storytelling. And that really has a remarkable effect in making it a coherent program, a cohesive program, and, as we like to think, future-proofing our students for whatever comes. You know, there are going to be changes in technology. People are going to be working on different platforms. People are going to be working on different budgets. But story is always going to be the most important thing. We have students working in every facet of the entertainment industry, from you know, animation, documentary, you know, feature films, web series, television series, streaming series. It doesn't really matter, because the storytelling skills, the visual narrative skills that people learn at Columbia, I think are, you know, help you through that. No matter what you are facing, you're going to be able to have the tools to actually make something interesting. So that's one thing. Another thing is, I think, the design of the program. It's a really smartly designed program that we have worked on for many years, and just yesterday we had a 3-hour curriculum meeting where we are still trying to tinker with the program and make it work even better. We're always trying to do that because you know, we care. We want to present the best possible educational opportunity to the people who come to join us. And what makes the program special, I think, is you could go to most other institutions of higher learning for film and television, and you come in as a writer, as a director, as a producer, and that's what you're going to do. Our integrated first year means that in our program, everybody writes, everybody directs, everybody produces, everyone works together from the beginning. This is a program unlike some of the other programs that are built on competition and foster competition. Our program is built on collaboration and fosters collaboration from the very beginning. And honestly, that's again future-proofing you for your career, because careers in the entertainment industry are all about collaboration. So that's another, I think, real distinction. Another distinction is everyone on our faculty is a working professional, and people who, you know, I have taught in some other programs where there are some very good professors who, I will admit, have not actually worked in the industry in decades, and that's not true at Columbia. The information that we bring to students is current, it is relevant, and we are constantly updating it with our own experiences as we work in the field. And then, there's a lot of other things which my colleagues will talk about, and as it comes to their individual concentrations. But I'll just stress one more, which is the passion and commitment of this faculty is unparalleled. I was so moved at yesterday's curriculum meeting just by listening to my colleagues who I respect and value so much, and listen to them talk with such pride about the work of their students, with such feeling about trying to give everything possible to our students at every point. And again, I don't think that's something you get in every program, or every program trying to do the things we're doing. Anyway, I'm proud to be here. I'm delighted to see you and looking forward to talking with all of you. And I'll pass it on to my colleague, Maureen Ryan.
Thank you, Jack. Hi, I'm Maureen Ryan. I'm a professor of professional practice here in the creative producing concentration. I'm actually an alum of the program. I got my MFA here years ago. And I have focused mostly on producing feature documentaries over the last 2 decades, films like Man on Wire and Dick Johnson is Dead. I also have a textbook called Producer to Producer, Step-by-Step Guide to Low-Budget Independent Film Producing. So just to give you a little bit of sense of who I am and where I come from. I'm going to talk now about the creative producing concentration. Each one of us will go into detail in terms of the concentration that we teach in. And I'll take you through kind of particulars about classes and what the requirements are and what our students end up doing, so you have an overview of that. And then, of course, we'll be available for questions afterwards. The Creative Producing Program is a 3-year program, start to finish, and we have 24 students in each class. It's an in-depth program that allows students to find their interests and strengths and work on those as they become producers after graduation in whatever way they wish to. Our award-winning film faculty and alums go on to work in studio films, independent films, international co-productions, television series, now verticals, podcasting, digital new media. And they work in development, they work as independent producers, they work as studio executives, story consultants, post-production supervisors, line producers, television producers, production company owners, tenured film professors, and distributors, and even more. So that just gives you kind of the breadth of what it is that our students come in, and then what it is that they end up going and doing in their own careers afterwards. The skills that they learn in our program are relevant to every capacity in the film industry, and for many students who come in from other countries, learning the kind of American way of film producing can be a real value add for them going back to their home countries if they choose to do so. At Columbia, our values are focused on narrative storytelling, which you've heard, collaboration, and diversity. And one of the ways we achieve this is through the integrated first year, as Jack just spoke about, which is so key for all of our students to be able to learn all those skills before they then go in to focus on their concentration in their second year of classwork. I'll just talk a little bit about some of the classes at the film program for creative producing now. We have in the second year, the focus is on required classes and electives. Some of the required classes are feature film development, feature film financing, pre-production of the motion picture, writing and script analysis, post-production supervising, and business of film. And then we have a whole bunch of electives that really go across many different kinds of focus. Business of television, documentary producing, entertainment law, film festival strategies. Podcasting is a new class that's going to start this spring, and another new class is adapting IP for new media, intellectual property. And you're also able to cross-register across the university, and for producing students, they often take a class either in the Columbia Business School or in the law school, but you can really, if you get the permission from the department, you can also take other classes at Columbia University. One other aspect of the creative producing program is that we have the Digital Storytelling Lab, or what we call DSL, which was founded by Professor Lance Weiler over 10 years ago. And I'll just tell you a little bit about that because it's a very unique program and lab that we have at our school that other graduate film programs do not have. It's widely recognized as a pioneer in the field of immersive and participatory storytelling. Based on Columbia School of the Arts, the lab brings together artists, designers, technologists, and researchers to explore how stories can shape culture and spark change. The work that they've done has played at Sundance, Tribeca, New York Film Festival, South by Southwest, and has been studied across the world about people who are interested in emerging technologies and narrative design. It's known as being a powerful hub at our program and across the university as an experimental space that consistently pushes the boundaries of how stories are told in various media and shared. And we have Digital Storytelling 1, which is about the history of interactivity, Storytelling 2, which is art and craft of business storytelling, and then immersive production is the final part of that suite of classes. There's also creative coding, and they're doing vibe coding in that class this year, new media art, world building, and transformative storytelling. And the last thing I'll just say about that is that they have a monthly meetup in person at Lincoln Center here in New York City, and they have a very large meetup community globally of 5,000 community members. And then just to kind of finish up on some of the things that producing students will be doing while in the 3-year program. You'll be producing 3 short films. You'll also be doing a required internship, which allows you to get real practical experience at whatever interest you have in the film industry, which really helps you as you go out into the world with those contacts and that practical experience. We have a very international cohort in our program, and so all the films in our program are produced in the United States and around the world. Because our film professors are actively working in the industry, and that's required for them to do so because we're professors of professional practice, we have people teaching in our program that are practitioners. And so I'll just give you a couple of examples. Catherine Bigelow's new film, A House of Dynamite, the co-producer is Luca Borghese, who teaches our post-supervising class for all of our students. Our faculty colleague, Minette Louie, who couldn't be here today, her latest feature film starring Lucy Liu premieres next month called Rosemead. And we also have a Netflix executive who's been teaching our documentary producing class for the last couple of years. Our alums work at places like Blumhouse, Amazon, Netflix, Array, Lionsgate, Starz, A24, and the list goes on. And I'll just say to finish up that through these film collaborations, students gain leadership and management skills for dealing with challenges and solving problems. Our main goal in the creative producing program is to train our students to be responsible, respectful, and humane producers who foster safe and healthy collaborations. Our program helps our students discover their own creative voices, the kinds of stories they wish to tell, and we champion diversity and new voices. So now over to Eric to talk about screenwriting and directing. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. I teach in directing, and I think maybe the best thing that I can do is to talk to you very groundedly about film school and about screenwriting and directing at Columbia. Columbia is known as a narrative school. Most other programs will make you choose between screenwriting and directing. We don't find that's as an interesting path. There are people who come and they want to just be screenwriters. That happens, but everyone takes everything in the first year, and even after that, the majority of people are here to become writer-directors. But one thing I was noticing, like sitting here and looking at my name printed up there, is how hard it is to communicate the experience past this formality. That you're sitting there and you're thinking, will I know these people? Will it always just be this, like coming and there's a dais, and this doesn't feel to any of us like what we do. So I want to get that across. What we do is very old school. There are many, many places that can impress you with glass and steel buildings and equipment you're never going to use in the industry. You're never going to touch on a set. Never. I've used cranes. I don't know how to use a crane. I don't know how to work it. And what we intend in our curriculum is to train writer directors. Now I'm leaving the producers out only because I'm speaking for the screenwriting directing right now. We train people who are creative to refine the kind of talent that they know they have. And also, if you're smart enough and self-aware enough, you know there's the part that you don't know. There's the part where you're like, my work doesn't look like that person's work. So I could go through the steps of every class you take here, but I'll tell you how we teach writing and directing. I'll concentrate because I teach directing on that side. We teach it in smaller and then larger increments of shot-to-shot, moment-to-moment cohesion. Now you might think to yourself, what the hell is he talking about? But when you think of how vast a movie is, and if you don't get bumped out of the story, how much work had to go into each synapse, each edit, each shot, not just that a scene should have its own form and make sense and surprise you at the end if that's what it's supposed to do. But someone, and it's Columbia Film, is invested in you as writer, directors who are eventually going to piece together huge sections that become a feature film. And we start with a 3-minute film, we go to an 8 to 12-minute film, and we build out until your strength can, when you leave this school, absolutely understand from your writing classes and the directing classes I've just described, hold up the enormity of 2 hours of somebody's uninterrupted, seamless time. Now, the funny thing is, it all just sounds like, well, of course that's what you do. It's impossible, actually, if you think about it. If you had to talk to somebody for 2 hours, it wouldn't be without bumps, coughing, dull moments. And so we're very old school. There's wood on the floors. I teach in a room where J.D. Salinger, I have an office in a room where J.D. Salinger used to sit in a class and look out the window. Why is that important? It's important because we're teaching fundamentals. You've gotten to a place in directing in the world where everyone's a director who has a camera or a phone. It's not true. You know your work doesn't look good. I know when my work doesn't look as good as the people who I admire. We trust that the people we pick come in with talent, and we're here to use, I said the other day in a meeting, I've never used, or I hardly use the word student. It appalls me to think that I work with students. No, I work with artists. I work with creative people at a different time in their process. That's it. So I hear, I know that problem. I've dealt with it. So now I'll read just some of the fun things that if I had said them first would look like, wow, this school is all beautiful. But I want to tell you that I'm going to read this list of fun things just from the last couple of years. But we're not selling you this list. We're selling you the hard work, the self-awareness, oh, I'm wrong. Oh, I always do that. Oh, someone knows better than me. That takes time. So go and watch Boots, which is a show that's on TV right now by one of our alums, writer-director, he's the showrunner. 2 films at this year's Venice Film Festival. 1, our alums, their first features. Yellow Jackets. Have you heard about this film, a horror film called Good Boy, about a dog? Writer-director, he sat in these exact seats like you, our alum. House of Dynamite, couldn't be further away. And I'm not talking about what Maureen mentioned, I'm talking about the writer-director, Catherine Bigelow. 2 BAFTA awards, British Academy Awards, for a thesis film that you'll see today. A complete unknown, a thesis student from my thesis class went to Cannes. I want to say something about that, and he wouldn't mind. I can't tell you how many times he was going to give up, and talked about another film that won at Venice, a thesis from a couple years ago, and said, that's what I wanted, I didn't get it. You understand why I'm telling you this? Because that's the realness underneath it. He went to Cannes, Academy Award, Student Academy Award for a thesis film, and 4 nations on this globe have our alumni's first features as their submissions, or some first, some not, to the Oscars this year. These are just the ones that I wrote down on a napkin. So I hope I gave you the dichotomy between, you're going to go to a lot of schools and going to say, oh yeah, we have all this stuff. I'm here to tell you, if you want to work hard, we'll teach you what's at the core of the medium that can lead to any one of these places. Thanks, and I'll talk to you later.
Good morning. I wish I had a list of fun things. My name is David Klass. I run the TV writing concentration. In addition to TV, I've written a lot of action movies and a couple of bad novels. It's so good to see you all. I'd like to talk to you this morning about our writing program generally, and then to briefly talk about a relatively new program called Writing for Film and TV. So if you come to Columbia to study writing, during the first 2 years, you'll be writing TV pilots and feature screenplays. You'll be working with a small, warm, very collegial faculty. Every faculty member is a working writer. Our workshop classes are small. They're collaborative. And then you'll take revision classes where you'll take those pilots and screenplays and try to bring them up to a professional level. Other film schools also teach screenwriting and TV. So I thought this morning I would tell you about 3 things that I think set Columbia's writing program apart. And the first one is creative diversity. There are some film schools, and I went to one of them, that believe that there's really one way to write a screenplay, a kind of a commercial Hollywood way. And they also thought they knew the kinds of stories that the industry was looking for. And the truth is, nobody knows this. So at Columbia, we take an opposite approach. We're looking for students who have their own very original stories to tell and their very own powerful voices. And we think it's our job to help you tell those stories, your stories, in the best possible way. And this leads to writing workshops like the one I'm teaching right now. It's called Introduction to TV Pilot, where some students are commercial and they plan to move to Hollywood right after they graduate and try to write big studio films or be TV showrunners. And that's absolutely fine. At Columbia, we don't look down on genre. I've been known to write a few car chases myself. But in that TV pilot class that I'm teaching, those very commercial Hollywood-aiming students sit side by side with students who are writing indie TV pilots and with international students who plan to go back to Europe or Asia and tell very different kinds of stories. And we not only tolerate those different voices, but we encourage them. And we think our creative diversity really strengthens everyone. And second, I want to talk about our approach to storytelling, because we get a lot of students who are already strong writers, and they've written a lot of short stories or short scripts, but they struggle with longer forms. They come to Columbia because it's the story school and they want to master the craft, how to structure, how to outline. And we're very good at demystifying long-form narrative. So we provide our students with a flexible narrative toolkit that emphasizes three-act classical structure and complex character development. And while they're at Columbia, our students get very comfortable with this. And when they graduate, they take this approach to storytelling with them out into the professional world with very, very good results. And that leads me to the last thing I wanted to talk about, which is jobs. There's sometimes a perception that Columbia is an East Coast Ivy League school that doesn't have connections in Hollywood or has trouble plugging its students into the industry. And I just wanted to tell you very directly, this could not be further from the truth. There are absolutely no guarantees if you go to film school. And anyone who tells you that there are is not telling the truth. If you decide to come to Columbia, we on the faculty are very keenly aware that you're taking a risk and that you may be putting yourselves in debt. And I'm speaking to you now as somebody who graduated from a different film school many years ago with debt, and the school didn't do much to help me break in, and I walked around with that on my shoulders. So you should know that I and the other members of the Columbia faculty take our obligation to help our students start careers as a very, very solemn responsibility. We have deep connections in Hollywood. We have a strong network of mentors who are working in the industry and want to help our students. All our writing teachers are working writers with connections. We bring in a variety of TV and feature writers who are doing cutting-edge work to teach master classes. So we want to make sure that if you come, not only will you learn the craft in a very creative, diverse, tolerant way, but also you'll have a launching pad to a career. It's tremendously important to us. And finally, I'd like to talk to you just a little bit about a new program. We started it 3 years ago. It's called Writing for Film and TV. For many years, Columbia Film was a place for writer-directors. Some of them leaned a little more toward writing, some a little more toward directing, and some were really evenly balanced and interested in doing both. But every year, we had a few students who came to Columbia who already knew they were pure writers. They defined themselves as writers. They wanted to work after they graduated as writers. So we started this program for them. It's a very small program. We only take 12 students a year. And those 12 students who come to the Writing for Film and TV program, they get something and they give up something. And what they give up is a chance to take advanced directing classes and to direct films after the first year. So they come and they do share in the first shared year, and they get a little taste of producing and directing and editing and working with actors. It's incredibly important for a writer to get that taste. But after that, they can't direct a film at Columbia. What they get in return is an intense writing experience that includes early exposure to the full-time writing faculty, a chance to study things like playwriting and adaptation, the opportunity while they're at Columbia to write and revise more scripts, and I think most importantly, there are just 12 of them. They have incredibly strong writing voices. A lot of them are working as professional writers before they come. So it's a chance to spend 3 years as part of a very tightly knit cohort of wildly talented writers. Thanks so much. I'd like to kick it back to Maureen Ryan.
Thank you. wanted to clarify, and thank you for being clear about that in your presentation, David, that for creative producers, you do direct in the first year, but after the first year, you won't be directing, just like the Writing for Film and Television program. I'm going to talk just briefly about our production resources to let you all know what we have at the school. But before I do, I wanted to thank the Director of Academic Administration, Hannah Seifu, for being here. She runs the program. She's a very important person, and I appreciate that she was here this morning on Saturday, so thank you. For production resources, we have a production center, which is where we keep all of our equipment and teach some of the tech arts classes, just 2 blocks away from here at the Nash building. And each year in the program, we have different equipment available for you in your various films that you make, and so it kind of moves through as you move through the program. In the first year, we're getting new Sony FX6 cameras as we speak, but we also have Canon C200s, the Panasonic EVA1, and Sony S5s. So that's for first year projects. That'll be your 3 to 5 minute film and your 5 to 12 minute film, which happens over the summertime. In second year, we have Sony F55s. And then for thesis level, which is third and fourth year, it's an Arri Alexa Mini, the Mini LF, and the Sony Venice. So we have a really nice kind of panoply of what is on offer. And then for lenses, we have the Arri Ultra Primes, we have Cook sets, and we have the Zeiss Super Primes as well. You're able to shoot with this equipment in the United States and throughout the world. So just so you know, you have access to them for any of your projects wherever you're shooting. We have a black box studio literally across the street from where we sit in Prentice. And that's where some of our students do their work, and we also teach some tech arts classes and a production class in the first year. We also have Apartment X, which is across the street, which is a very small apartment dedicated to our students being able to reserve that for exercises mostly. And then for post-production, just wanted to kind of take you through what we have. We have 3 digital media centers on campus. So these are editing spaces on campus for you to access 24/7, so 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, at our where we are on the main campus, the Morningside campus, which is Dodge Hall. We also have remote online server Avid, so that allows you to edit anywhere in the world, and particularly for students who in the summertime may go back to home countries or home cities, and also when you're shooting your thesis films, you have access to that wherever you are. We also have Frame.io Enterprise, free DCPs for any thesis films that are completed in the program. And then for our screening rooms, you'll be going, after we finish up here, you'll be going to see those 3 films that we're going to screen, and that's in our screening room downstairs, which is a 4K Dolby Atmos screening room, state of the art. It's really spectacular. And then over in Dodge, we have a 4K 7.1 screening room. And then lastly, we have Blackmagic Cintel 16 millimeter and 35 millimeter film scanner. So if you do choose to shoot film, we're able to do that here on campus. So those are the things just to kind of give you an overview of what you would have access to for all of your projects while you're in the program. Thank you. And now it's over to Julie. Oh, now it's over to Hannah. Excellent.
Hi guys, my name is Hannah Seifu. I'm the Director of Academic Administration for the film program, which encompasses the BA, the MA, and the MFA, as you guys are interested in. I handle everything from faculty relations to, curriculum, mounting curriculum. I have an amazing staff. We're small but mighty. And I can answer questions about every single class that we offer in the film program, and pretty much every class we offer at the School of the Arts. I've been here for, oh, good Lord, almost 18 years. And so historical knowledge and also what's going to come next. So you can ask me anything, and just feel free to stop by after we finish this Q&A and say hello. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. Hannah really does know absolutely everything and makes everything happen. So I'm just going to put in a little plug. Any questions that you have, she is your person. For those who came in late or for those online, again, I'm Julie Dobrow. I am the Dean of Admissions and Financial Aid at the School of the Arts. I'm also an alum of the theater program. I graduated in 2000 with a degree in theater management and producing, and I have also worked here almost 18 years. So we have a lot of alums that continue to work here, and we have a lot of people that just stay here because, as I hope you'll get a sense of today, it is an incredible community. I want to do a couple shout outs. First, to the admissions and financial aid staff, because those are the people that will be responding to any questions, inquiries that you have over the next couple months as you hopefully decide to apply to the program. So it's me, it's Kenny Wong, who is our Director of Admissions and Financial Aid. He is the one who's operating the Zoom right now. I think we have like 80 people on it, which is great. The people that checked you in downstairs are Tori Sheffer and Niquette Johnson and Rich Dykeman. This is the team. Any questions that you have that you send to these email addresses, SOA Fine Aid or admissions, SOA Admissions, goes to these people, and we respond as quickly as we can. But we are here to help you and help you manage your journey, as I said, as I hope you guys apply. What else? Oh, I wanted to shout out particularly to the international students. It's been a particularly challenging year, as many of you know, with visa restrictions and talks of social media being scrutinized. I just want to let you know that the current first-year class is solidly 50% international. This is the MFA program. We are so proud of that. We absolutely love international students, and I want to encourage you all to apply. We have a very strong office. It's called ISSO, which is the International Students and Scholars Office. They worked tirelessly over the summer to make sure that all of our students were able to get a visa and come. There was only one student who was not able to, and it was for reasons other than social media or anything that was deemed, problematic. So I just want to encourage you all to apply. We will work with you and make sure that you are able to get your visas and come here on time. Just a couple of important dates, and we will send this all out. We're recording the session, so just know that if you miss anything, we will be sending this out. The application for the film MFA is due December 9th, and the Fine Aid application. So anyone who is interested in getting scholarship support, there's a couple applications that you need to submit. If you're a domestic student, you need to submit the FAFSA. If you are domestic or international, you need to submit our own application, which you can find on the same application portal. It's just called the School of the Arts Financial Aid application. So I want to say something that's so important, and please believe me when I say this. Need is not factored into admissions decisions. You will not be penalized in any way if you decide to submit the scholarship for financial aid. And in fact, the scholarship is not due until February, and your application's due in December. So it won't even be looked at by any of the admissions committee, the faculty admissions committee people. Please, please, please do not hesitate to submit that application if you need financial support. You will not be penalized, I promise. In addition to the session, which we'll of course be sending out, we also have what we call our online Q&A sessions. These are also led by faculty, and they're closer to the application deadline. So if you have any last minute questions that you want to pose to faculty as well as admissions staff, we have those coming up. The Screenwriting Directing and Writing for Film and TV is on November 25th at 7 p.m., and the Creative Producing one is on December 4th at 6 p.m. Again, we'll be sending all this information out, but please feel free to sign on for those as well. Any last minute questions you have, we will have people there to answer. What else? I just want to encourage you to apply for scholarships. We had 70% of the incoming classes receiving scholarship support from the school, so please don't hesitate. And then let me just tell you a little bit about the timeline. After we're done here, we're going to do a Q&A. Any questions that you have, please feel free. And I'm also going to take questions from the Zoom, so I have the Zoom open here. So Zoomers, please feel free to put your questions in the chat. After that, there's going to be time to kind of mingle around and have some more breakfast burritos. We're very excited about those. And then after that, at 2 p.m., and we're going to break out into concentrations. So, and I'll tell you where to go, but we'll have the screenwriter directors in one space and the writing for film and TV in one space and creative producers, and you can move around if you're interested in more than one concentration. And then at 2 p.m. on the second floor, we have an incredible screening of student work, student alumni work. It's 3 films that have gotten rave reviews and have made the festival circuit. We also have either the director writers filmmakers or the producers here to talk about their films, so I strongly encourage you to go down to the second floor. Unfortunately, we are unable to Zoom that part of the session, so it's just for people who are here in person, but that'll be at 2 o'clock, and we'll remind you, about 10 minutes before to start going downstairs to the second floor. That being said, I'm going to open it up to a Q&A. Jack, you want to take it over?
Please, if anyone has any questions for any of us about any aspect of the program, please come up and ask. Do we answer everything so well that there are no questions left? I can't believe that. I'm sure people have some questions.
What is important for you when you...
I think they would like
Yeah,
you
if
to
you
use the
could come
microphone.
up to the mic,
The
that would be
reason for
great.
that is because there's so many people on Zoom, so they want your voice to be heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia.
What is important for you when you look through all the applications? What kind of backgrounds are you looking for? For example, I'm from slightly different background, from more like artistic background. Is it interesting for you, or you prefer people who are experienced with film more, or maybe you have some advice how to navigate the application itself?
I think this is a question Eric should answer since he is central to our admissions
And I'll
process.
also answer it after Eric.
And just so I know, did you say you're applying to screenwriting directing, to which? To directing. What I'm about to say, no one believes, and it has to do with that divide that I was talking about. Like, we're up here, you have questions, we seem to have answers, but if you went after this meeting onto the subway, we're all standing there, the same people. And what I mean by that is, we're looking for you to tell us in as open a way as possible who you are. It sounds so obvious that, in other words, if I gave you a secret and I said, well, always include such and such a detail, but the fact is, compelling people make compelling movies. You have an opportunity to interest us in the real you. I'll tell you what doesn't work: when someone is putting up a front, it's like, we're a bunch of people here. We're just looking to meet other people. I'm going to use a terrible analogy, but when you do online dating and you can tell, oh God, they present themselves, it's fake, they mention things that they're counting on being attractive. It's like, we're going to be working with you as people. The more you can open up, it's completely private, never gets mentioned ever again. The more you can open up about what it is you want, why it is you're applying, and what you aspire to, I never get not interested in that. Like, that's storytelling in itself.
I'll just follow up on that. I agree with absolutely everything Eric just said. Additionally, I would say, just from my point of view as a professor, my job, once you're here in the program, is to help you do that, right? Is to help you find your voice, to help you figure out what kind of films you want to make or what kind of career you want to have. And those 3 years in the program are for us to do that with you and for you. So we're really looking to you in the applications to indicate who you are and what you'd like to do. And one of the things I think we're really proud of in creative producing and across all the concentrations is the diversity of backgrounds of everybody who comes. I mean, a couple of years ago, one of our wonderful creative producing students was a pharmacist from Nigeria, and he always wanted to make films. And so he applied to the program and ended up being an award-winning student in our program. And so we have just tons and tons of examples of that, where people are coming from different backgrounds, actually having had full careers in another industry, and now want to finally do, which their first dream was to make films, make television, make media. So we're really looking for you to tell your story authentically and to explain to us all the things that Eric just shared. And we've been doing this a really long time, so we really know what we really know it, we really feel it when we see it.
And if I might just add, we spend a lot of time on your applications. I frequently interview students and I quote back to them something they wrote in a writing sample and they say, "Oh my God, you actually read that." Yeah, we read and watch everything. So rather than try to calculate or guess what we're looking for, use this as an opportunity, as Eric said so well, to tell us who you are as a person, who you are as a creative artist, what your voice is, what you do well. Be really honest. We want to get to know you.
And I'll just use to finish up, unless there's a follow-up that we didn't get to. There's a funny analogy. We have alums coming back all the time who have had great success, and just recently we had Jonathan Van Tulloken, who produced and directed Shogun, the miniseries, and somebody asked him, what should I write towards the industry's eyes to get their attention in my first script, my first TV, I forgot what it was, and he said, they want to know what you have, they're terrified, they want to see something about you, something that's originally, passionately conveyed, and it's the same sort of thing that I think we're saying.
Exactly right.
I have a few questions from our online folks.
Please.
Why don't we take those? There's two that I'm going to combine about classes. So one person said, can you take a class or seminar from another section if you're a directing concentrate but want to sit in on a class that's creative producing? Is that possible? And someone else asked if you are able to take cinematography or editing courses as electives in the second year.
Hannah, do you want to take that one?
I think I'm going to jump in on that. So in terms of, I also wanted to say that the majority of the classes are workshop classes, which are 12 students, just to give you that. There are lecture classes. Those usually happen in the first year, but after that, they're all that size. And in terms of being able to audit other classes from other concentrations, and in some cases enroll in electives in other concentrations, that's definitely possible and highly encouraged. And I'll have you talk a little bit about what people do with your visual experiences class in a second. The second part of that question was?
Oh, I'm sorry. The second part of that question, sorry, I'm screening down here.
Cinematography and editing.
Oh, the cinematography and
yes,
editing
it's
classes.
editing and cinematography.
Yeah, so thank you. So in the, right now as it stands, the beginning of the second year, so after you finish your 5 to 12 film, which you shoot over the summer, then edit a first draft of, then there's an editing class called Editing Fundamentals, and that is for students to learn how to refine their editing of their 5 to 12 films. We also have editing classes later in the program focused on your other work that you do in the program and your thesis work. Right? So that's how we do editing. In terms of cinematography, that's a second year elective class as well that's offered to prioritize for the directing and screenwriting students, but there are also usually a space or two for creative producers.
Yeah, I don't want to linger, but Elizabeth Kling is a full-time professor who teaches editing. She brings on trusted people from the industry. She started with she started with one of the great directors of all time and ended up being the editor and producer of almost every season of Deadwood. And she is an astounding mind. And we teach, I'll say it this way, there are schools, if behind the question is the thought, can I graduate in one of the subsidiary arts, am I going to graduate as a cinematographer? We've had people do that. Chris Teague, who is shooting Only Murders in the Building, now directing, who has shot many, he came out of the program, he was a writer-director, but there are other programs that are better for you if you think, I want to be a cinematographer. We concentrate, from my perspective, writing and directing and producing and the creative goals. We teach cinematography from the point of view of what the director needs to know to speak coherently, intelligent. Editing, we even teach more because every director I know is in the edit room. So you'll be editing you're on your own and with excellent, top-grade professional mentors while you're here.
Julia said there's another question on Zoom?
Yeah, I have several questions on Zoom. Are there any questions in the room? Microphone, yes. Thank you.
Hi. I guess this question for me is particular to the director screenwriting program, but maybe the other programs would be applicable to that as well. But I'm curious, what do students who have just graduated tend to do, I guess, in that period immediately after graduating?
Yeah, it's a good question, and maybe one of the best ways to answer it is how we help them. So no, you shouldn't go to any film school you go to that has a panel like this, just listen for the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? It's hard right now. There isn't an indie, huge film universe when I was younger. But what we invented was the mentorship program, alumni mentorship program. Every single writer, director, producer who is getting ready to leave the program is paired to the best of our ability, which is good, with an alum who is in a similar place that they want to go to as much as we can find, or even a place in the world, so that you don't just leave the program and say like, hey, nice to have met you. You're paired with someone who's going to introduce you to their network, to their friends, to their country or their region or their state's infrastructure, which in Europe, let's say, the way to make a movie there is to know everyone up the ladder in the kind of the government-sponsored financing. In terms of what people do, I'm not going to lie to you, a lot of people become editors. A lot of my students, I can get jobs editing because it's a skill that everyone needs, in all sorts of ways. We put people into writers' rooms all the time. It's hard, but we do it. There's a lot of opportunity right now, but I don't want to, I'll say this, that no other place I think will admit, if it probably occurred to you already, there's no dearth of professional directors that are in line to do huge movies. So when you graduate from a program, you have to prove yourself before you get a big job. I don't want to make it seem like they see a great student film and then they put you on the next Alien movie. It doesn't happen. But we do put people all the time in the position, this is constant, to make their first feature, to set them up in their country, in this country, with a script, with a proof of concept, if that's what their short was, with all the necessary skills. And they're often doing what I said in lower level jobs in production companies as well.
I just wanted to add to that, which is that in addition to all of that support, all the faculty are also helping students connect to other people that allows them to get jobs out of the industry. And also in the program, we have many different classes that are also about where the jobs are now, like podcasting class. I'm sitting in on a master class, a 6-week master class being given by an alum who's owned his own production company in Los Angeles for the last 10 years. And he's teaching about the creator economy. Where are the points of connection between the work that you're all interested in doing and how you can leverage that into the creator economy where there's so much excitement and so much happening. So the other thing we do with our program is to continue to evolve it. It's not just stuck in one kind of paradigm. As Jack said at the beginning, it's about narrative storytelling, which future-proofs you for every possible way that the industry will change over your lifetime and over our lifetimes that we've experienced it. So I think that's another way that it allows you to feel, that you're prepared for whatever the new things will be and however things evolve, and to be able to take advantage of all that you learned and leverage particularly the alumni community and the contacts that we have. Lastly, I'll say we also have a staff member whose sole job is industry outreach. That focuses on making those connections with you, helping with film festival strategy for your thesis films. And then we also have a staff member whose full-time job is to do exit strategy panels, to connect you with internships, to have a screening series where the best and the brightest around the world come and show their films, talk to you about it. We had, just for instance, the Netflix series that Eric was talking about, Boots. Andy Parker, the showrunner, came back for the first time in 10 years and actually was able to show the first pilot before anybody at Netflix saw, anybody who's a subscriber of Netflix saw it, and then talk about that whole process. We do that every single day of every single week.
I just wanted to briefly talk about internship because it's super important. Creative producers are required to do an internship, and screenwriter directors, writing for film and TV students can do an internship. We typically encourage you guys to do it after you finish the 2 years of coursework during your research arts years. And this is especially important for international students. You're allowed to do an internship twice. You speak to me directly first because there are many, many rules. And through those contacts, I've seen many international students stay with a company to do their OPT, optional practical training. And they wind up getting paid jobs that way for a year while they apply for their O1 visa. And so, international students, this is a really, really great way to get your foot into the American industry at least. If you're not immediately going back home. American students, you can work an internship for academic credit twice, and it's much easier for a permanent resident and American citizens to do paid internships because you can work outside in the industry at any time during graduate school. With international students, you can only work 20 hours a week. That's why you should see me first before you apply for an internship, before you do anything regarding working with an F1 visa. So.
I'll just round this out by saying that it doesn't stop. We don't just put you into the alumni mentorship program and then never speak to you again. Once you're our student, you're a student pretty much for life. What did I do yesterday? Yesterday, I wrote a recommendation letter for someone who graduated in 2017, and I spent half an hour on a Zoom call with someone who graduated 3 years ago who needs an entertainment lawyer, recommending different entertainment lawyers and discussing their strategy for 2 different ways they could go with the financing of their feature film. Once we are your advisors, your professors, we will always be your advisors and professors.
Yesterday, I got an email from a former student who just got her O1 visa, so that was a really nice email to get, and that happens all the time.
That's great. Who was it?
Yesterday, I'm not joking, this is funny. Yesterday, I got an email from an alumni who is working in the West Village where I live. I got him the job because somebody said, we need, and he's a writer-director, so this goes to the kind of openness I think we all have to have. Somebody said, so-and-so at HBO needs an assistant right now, someone who knows writing directing but is going to support the writer-director. I said, I know the guy, Garrett Henson.
All right.
He's been working for years. He said, I'm in your neighborhood, we got to meet. It's immense pleasure. Like, he's working on his own stuff, he's got a family and children, and he's got income. Happens a lot.
And it's not just us, and they put us on this panel because we're a little bit nuts and we're so hardworking. But honestly, one of the reasons why it's such an honor for me to be part of this faculty at Columbia Film is that literally every single professor, I'd say 4, 5, 6, 7 times a week, is Zooming with or having phone calls with or writing letters of recommendation for students from the past 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 years. So it's just an obligation that's taken so seriously.
Yeah.
Do we
You
have
guys
some
were
other
very busy
questions?
yesterday.
Some other questions in person? Because I know Julie's got some on Zoom. There's one over here.
Yeah, we'll do that, and we'll take some Zoom questions, too.
No, back to that woman there, right, Julia, right there.
One and then two.
Hi, I was just hoping to get some more clarity on the research arts year, because my understanding is that you're not taking, a regular structured course load, so what does that time typically look like?
Sure. So your first 2 years, we talked about the integrated first year. In the second year, people are going into their core disciplines and taking a mixture of required and electives. Then the third year for everyone and the fourth year for screenwriting directing students who choose to take it are research arts years. This is where you're working on your thesis work. You're writing your thesis scripts or screenplays or pilots. You're making a thesis film. Directing students can make 2 thesis level films. Screenwriting students can make 1 thesis level film called a portfolio film. Producers can produce basically as many thesis level films as they can have time and energy to do. Producers also have to do, as Hannah said, an internship and post-supervise a thesis level film that is not produced by them. So that we have thesis advisement during those years. You're assigned to a full-time professor and meet regularly with them to go through your thesis work and support you in whatever way you need.
There are also master classes that are held. We have an awesome director of events, Alex Illich, who mounts all kinds of master classes during that time. Some research arts students will ask a professor whether or not they can audit a 4-credit class, but you're not taking classes for credit during your research arts years. You're allowed to audit with permission of the instructor.
But we do have writing for film classes in the creative producing, and also digital storytelling lab classes. Once again, they're full semester classes, but they're no longer, you're paying tuition for it. It's part of what the research arts year is.
And also revision classes in screenwriting, directing.
Workshop in script revision, TV revision.
Writing for film and television.
Maybe a plain way of saying what let's say a directing concentrate would be doing. And remember, when I say a directing concentrate, you might think, oh, I'm never going to write again. We are a school that caters to writer-directors. So if you choose directing as your concentration, every other week for 1 or 2 years, every other week, you are meeting as a class with your thesis class, with someone like me as your teacher, developing your new thesis screenplays. You're also editing a lot of the work you did in the first 2 years, putting it up on screen, watching it over and over again, adding music. You're in classes where, this thesis class I'm talking about, people bring in casting reels. We all sit around and say, we know the script, we've seen 15 iterations of that thing already. Oh, that's the woman you've been describing. That audition was great. We listen to music on cuts. We develop the entire project from beginning to end, and I didn't want you to think like somehow you're just cut loose. And I also am going to reiterate, all those students in all that work that I told you coming every other week to my thesis level class, they are also in thesis level writing, screenwriting or TV writing classes, so that we believe you should be leaving a program with as much material to show to the outside world of what you did and why you came to a school as possible. So we think this is the way to do it.
There was another hand up here.
I think you partly responded to this question, but maybe it's a little bit too wide. But what other teaching philosophy do you have? What kind of professor you are? I mean, you said that you want to see people who they are, and it's a narrative storytelling. But if you can summarize it, who are you as a professor? How do you teach?
You mean specifically me? I'm a professor that's probably different for each one of the students I have to deal with. In other words, I have to know, I don't make comedies, but I've studied comedies. And I know how to teach it with the person who's going to do it. I have so many students now interested in slow cinema. So I had to, it doesn't come natural to me, but boy, do I love it now, and can I work with them and teach that. So What kind of a teacher am I? I don't know, that's for someone else really to say. I believe in certain things, I'll tell you.
I can answer that.
No, stop.
He is the most compassionate professor in directing that I have ever met in my life. Oh, wait. The students who are sitting on the outskirts, ask them about Eric Mendelsohn. He will remember everything you wrote. He will remember your application. He will remember your family members. If you tell him once, he will remember. He teaches in a way where students in other programs are constantly coming to me, can I take Eric Mendelsohn's visual experiences classes? Please.
Let me just add, thank you. I'll say something. I think one thing that doesn't get said about directing and filmmaking and art, they don't say it. They say you got to be in command. You better be a leader. You better be a banker. You better be a schmoozer. I'll tell you something that I think, personal, you asked. I think you have to have humility. I think you have to be humble and say, I don't know everything. I don't know every student. I better learn. I don't know every art form, every genre. I better shut up and learn. So no one talks about that. But you listen to Martin Scorsese in the new documentary and you see someone who has an unbelievable curiosity and humility about other people's work. When I was an adjunct here, I thought I knew who was good and bad. Thank God I adjuncted before I became a professor 26 years ago. I meet every student and I assume they've got something I don't know about it and I better listen more carefully. That's an aspect.
Do you want to do any more Zoom before we?
Two questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have actually a few on Zoom. They're related to how many feature scripts, TV pilots, and other amounts of film that the students do while they're in the program. How many films?
How many pilots would you make, or how many films would
You guys should.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll start with film just because I've been dominating. Here we go. You make a 3 to 5 minute film in the between the first semester and the second. I'm not going to count all the work you do in directing classes. You're making small assignments every semester. I'm not counting them as larger projects. You make a 3 to 5 minute film. You make an 8
That's in the break between first semester and second semester.
Between the first year and the second year during the summer, you make a 5 to 12 minute film. Before you even finished classroom work, you make a second year film, used to be called a Directing 4 film. It's your last directing course. So that's 3 films of a larger nature than your assignments, of course, just in the 2 years of classroom work. If you concentrate as a director, you get to make 2 thesis level films. So altogether you can make 5 and you can work on and write so many more than that, but I'll leave that to my colleagues.
Yeah, so I think that virtually all students during the first year will write at least 1 feature and 1 TV pilot and possibly 2. And then those students who want to concentrate on writing will tell us what they're most interested in. Are they more interested in TV or are they more interested in features? And they'll be given an advisor, a faculty advisor, a thesis advisor to work with who does that professionally. Although these days, to be honest with you, most working professional writers do both, features and TV, because the industry has just gotten so difficult, everybody sort of does both. But based on what they're interested in, they will probably write another feature or another 2 pilots. So if they want to concentrate on writing, they'll probably graduate with 1 or 2 features and 3 or even 4 pilots.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about the production side, but then you can talk about the writing of the creative producers. How's that? So for creative producers, you will write and direct a 3 to 5 minute film, you will write and direct a 5 to 12 minute film, and you will produce a 5 to 12 minute film. Every student, including the other concentrations, will also produce a 5 to 12 minute film. And then second year film, they'll produce at least 1 of those. And then ideally you have to produce at least 1 thesis level film, but we encourage you to do at least too. And then regarding the writing work.
Yeah, I also teach a class called Writing and Script Analysis, which every creative producing student takes, in which you develop and write a first draft after having gone through many iterations of either a short film script or the first act of a feature. We also have writing for the screen classes so that creative producing students who want to take writing beyond their first year can also write pilot or screenplay.
So you can come out with feature-length scripts and pilot scripts depending on what you're interested in doing.
Oh, was that an online question? Oh, so one of the questions online was, how long is the pairing between the alumni mentor and the graduating student? It's as long as it's personal. It's as long as they're willing. They're obviously signed up as volunteers because they benefited from the program and from the alumni mentorship program. So it's them giving back. We can't
We do ask
dictate.
them to have 3 touch points with their mentees
Minimum.
in the first 6 months of the program.
But they continue on and on if that's natural. If not, you'll probably meet somebody they knew. Oh, I also wanted to say something that, in terms of how many screenplays, remember, if you concentrate in directing, I said you're also in the screenwriting, thesis level screenwriting rooms and TV writing rooms. Most of the people who are in my class, they're leaving the school with the amount of films I told and screenplays, at least 2 feature screenplays and television work as well.
There's a couple questions about the writing samples. Question is it better to submit samples with a consistent theme and message, or for each of them to explore a variety of subjects and topics?
Yes. I mean, come on. It's the
Submit who
variety
you are.
of people out there in this room is going to dictate that. In other words, we've heard this before, so I want to clarify. Someone every year says, well, wait a minute. Should I show that I'm a sci-fi nut all through my application? Or should I show that I am have varied talents and that? Isn't that you? Like, how, we can't answer that. I can tell you that if I was applying to a school, I'm not great at everything. I have my thing that I do. I'd probably try to show a couple of ways in which I do it, but I don't have that ability. But if you do, it's probably going to show up in your autobiographical statement. I'm interested in a million different things. Don't hold it against me. Here's proof. Or if not, my whole life has been dominated by.
I'd also just say, show us your best work, whatever it is.
Exactly.
So this reminds me of a question I'm asked very often by writing students when they come to Columbia. While I'm at Columbia, should I try to brand myself as only a writer of comedy, or should I develop scripts that show my range so when I get out of Columbia I can impress agents or managers with the variety of my samples? So I say to them, you write the best ideas that God gives you. God doesn't give you that many great ideas.
Yeah.
So if he or she gives you 3 or 4 great comedy ideas, do that. And if one is a comedy and then one day you're walking down the street and you get an idea for a great action movie, do that. Write the strongest ideas that you have, the ones you believe in the most. And similarly on the application, send us your best stuff, the stuff you love.
Yeah, the idea of like going against the grain of who you are, even if I can't do it myself. So if you are a generalist and that's, you eat up plots of different kinds, I know those kind of students, be that. Don't
Any
think
questions in
it
the room before we do another? Oh, let's go
Question
here. We
over
haven't
here.
had one here yet. And then in the back.
I think one of the main questions I had was, in a certain way, the question is simply what kind of student takes well to the program,
Yeah.
especially initially. But a little bit more expanded is, of course, I'm sure you guys are looking for students that have a cup that's empty enough that you can fill with what it is that you have to teach.
Say the last thing again?
I'm saying, of course, you guys are looking for students that their cup is empty enough that they can be receptacle to what you have to teach, of course. And with that, I'm sure there's a certain floor where it's like, of experience, basically. So I'm sure if I've never directed a 3-minute video in my life to turn into you guys or something like that, I'm sure you might say, I guess the question is, would you say you might need another year or two of experience or going out into the world to make something before you come to a program like this? Because
It's funny you said that you were so sure, because you're not so sure, and I'm not either. We have done exactly the thing that you're saying. There's probably I've interviewed a person and they say, this is my life. I wasn't allowed to study film in my family, in my country, in my culture. Here's what I can do. I know I don't have, and I'm like, I see the wheels and I say yes, or we say yes.
Great.
What we always want is a student who is going to get the most out of the program wherever they're at. And sometimes in admissions I'll see someone where I think, they could probably use a little more life experience before they come to the program. But when you look at the range of students who come to our program, some people are right out of undergrad, some people have, as Maureen said, had whole other careers and are now finally focusing on the thing they always loved. What really matters is, are you going to throw yourself into this program, get everything it has to offer, and really open yourself up to collaborating with this amazing cohort of other students from all over the world, from every culture, every conceivable background.
I just wanted to say something that always sounds a bit obvious at these kinds of gatherings, but I just want to say it: just apply.
Yep.
So we're going to do one more question in the back, and then we're going to break out into concentrations, and feel free to save your questions for that as well.
So my question was very similar to his. I'm going to kind of piggyback off of that. Did you have an instance where you did select a student if they didn't have any practical films to show, but other parts of the application were pretty strong?
Yes.
Awesome. Another question, just a side question, I guess, to
No,
that
I'm
one.
sorry, you have to leave.
Right after this. Basically, I have a background in classical music, and
great.
part of my transition to film was directing music videos. So if I do the exercise, which is the 2 people silent short, can I also include something that I've directed, which is not a short film, but more music related?
Absolutely.
Absolutely?
That's a
Awesome.
good question to maybe get wider on. People have all sorts of visual stuff that they've done in their life, and they say, should I include it? It's not a narrative film. Why not? Maybe you want to even say that I know that this isn't whatever, but I wanted to show you, and please pay attention to what kind of music, by the way. You said classical, but did you write or did you play? Yeah, music and film directing go hand in hand. We just were listening to Tchaikovsky, Rachmaninoff. We were listening to Bolero and La Valse to talk about structure.
And I'll just say, in creative producing, we have accepted students who, some of our most successful students the last 10 years, one was a farmer, one was a bartender, one was an Interpol agent, one was in the Marines, and they basically had never been on a set before they came to Columbia. And actually, each of those people ended up winning the Best Producer Award when they graduated.
All right, on that note, we are going to end the Q&A. Thank you so much all for coming in person. Thank you to all of you on Zoom as well.